All right, Greeks. All right, thank you for joining us. Okay, so I think I've seen images of this, but I never really investigated it. I remember looking at Brazil and seeing a flying saucer there, but never really looking into it, or nothing ever really. I don't know, just never thought about investigating it. Not that I'm aware of. So it was a UFO crash in 1996, like a Roswell crash, where three Zeta beings all had red eyes, or at least they're in fear, that were captured. And one of the army, one of the military men there, picked one of them up and then died later because of, you say, the acid, feels like the acid coming out of the Zeta's body blended in with his, and others. The other two Zetas that were captured. So I didn't watch the whole documentary, but it's with nets. I just assume the other two are, well, one of them was definitely caught by a net. I imagine the third one was also, but it crashed in the city, and the military moved in pretty quickly. And also NORAD was involved with it. They're the ones that saw it happen or happening. So it's basically their version of Roswell, and there was a lot of witnesses there. Of course, the government said nothing ever happened, and same old story there. So, yeah, having an alien encounter is not always what's cracked up to be. Yeah, Zetas are like another version of ourselves. And yeah, it just shows that the alien world can be very raw and uneasy. As some of you know that as you do your connections. Even like the reptilians, a lot of them smell terrible. Yeah, they don't care about anything. There's good ones, of course, but there's others that just can care less. And they're the ones keeping us locked down. And it says some of the reptilians that are here are from Mars, which is connected to Orion. It's just the reason after reason. They're part of our politicians that are here. Of course, they reside in the fourth dimension, but that doesn't mean they don't smell and stink in the fourth dimension. They just can cloak themselves from us, but they can also be very physical beings. So, yeah, as many are remembering their galactic wars and things like that. Of course, there's a galactic war going on right now, but you can also be, distracted by that. And yeah, it doesn't. I mean, what can you do about it? I mean, some of you tap into it, but just coping with the physical reality that's here. Or so many people here are alien to this place. And looks like the YouTube algorithm is not working so great. It's funny how Rumble is doing pretty good. It's better. It's funny. It's doing much better on YouTube. It's pretty sad, actually. So the censorship on YouTube is it's going to a whole new level. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Unless you have some kind of galactic story you want to tell somebody and, feed into that realm, which I'm not interested in. But yeah, this is a real incident. You can look it up. I forget, Varginha, I forget the name. I can't pronounce it. It's like Virginia. Varginha, Brazil. It was a city in Brazil. So I kind of butchered that name. I heard it like several times, but I still can't seem to connect to that name for some reason. So connect to the Zetas from Brazil. Let's just call them that. There's three of them. They were scared when they crashed and just disillusioned. When it comes to alien vibrations, are you ready for it? Because it can get quite intense. What are you doing? That's Fritzy. Her tail is hitting the table. All right. Somebody's knocking at the door. I imagine people can hear that. Also, the World War III timeline. I'm not sure. That just I get a question about it. I don't know why there's a fear of it. If it happens, not much you can do about it. It happens. It happens. You could die and go to a better place. Or you can get stuck here and just keep going through it over and over. I wouldn't put too much fear into this. You just can't worry about it. What is it going to do? In some regard, I think World War III would help this world. I think it's something it kind of needs. Maybe it'll wake itself up. Right now, it's in its slumber. It just likes to sleep. It just gets comfortable and then just gets lazy and just nods off. And it does it all the time. That's why this world, I don't see it really ascending that quickly, or at all for that matter. I mean, you can do it individually. I don't know why people don't want to hear that. I mean, you can grow and do your own thing, and that's fine. You don't have to worry about the rest of the world. Do what it's gonna do. It's gonna go backward and become a cesspool. If that's what you gotta do, that's what you gotta do. Yeah, go be you. I mean, if this world has to do that, and it's doing a really good job of it. They have this whole trans thing going on, which is just a clown show right now. They'll go to something else eventually. They'll get bored of it and they'll move on. It's just where we're at right now. It's too bad the kids have to grow up in this stuff. It's like life wasn't confusing enough as it was. Well, hopefully the parenting out there is doing better. It's not on autopilot like usual. And also Super Earth, a parallel reality. So that's kind of an interesting one. It's this world is connected to other versions of Earth, and some feel like this world's bigger or smaller or whatever. Do as you must there. It's all in perception. Of course, some feel like it's a flat Earth. Everybody sees things differently. So does it matter how big this world is, or if there's other islands here or other continents we're not aware of? Yeah, how would we know? Unless you're flying around the world all the time, like what's going on in Antarctica, and who knows? Never. I don't think I can't imagine there's another continent anywhere, but you never know. Probably not, but there's probably islands we've never heard of. I don't know. This parallel? The super Earth is just basically connected to a parallel Earth. We just connected to some of that energy, because there is other versions of Earth that do know about us and do manipulate our planet. I believe there are at least 2 or 3 of them. Now, how aware they are isn't always. There's always one that I know it sounds confusing. It's like a sci-fi thing. It's like there's other worlds that are not aware of us. I don't know, they're connected to us, but they're not always aware that they're interfering with us. I don't know, you can go on and on with that one. And just let that one sink in. It's confusing. I mean, we're multidimensional, so it just might be a little bit out there for many, for obvious reasons. Yeah, it's pretty. Oh well, it's bizarre. That's what we're here to do: is be weird. Okay, this is Avatar Comic Prep Sessions scheduler. We have a shop here, the webinar, we have the social network behind the scenes, you have the archive. I think I need to do some fixing here. I don't know when I'll have time, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. So submitted questions, I haven't obviously gone through all of them. The Super Earth is one of those submitted ones, and World War III. So you can submit through AT Origins. I'll get to it eventually. It's not a rush, but I'm not going to do every submission. But if it looks like it'll help others, the Super Earth is kind of a weird one, but I think some can tap into that. It's a weird one. It's like one I don't want to ignore, but it's a weird. It's like one that's relevant but not relevant, but might be relevant to some. It's a weird one. So once again, for alien disclosure, depending on what kind of aliens you connect to, some might smell really bad or cause you to have an allergic reaction or something like that. Or it's not what it's cracked up to be when you think about it. Obviously, they can do protections and all that around themselves when they connect to us. The other thing is like the Nordic beings, if there is some kind of alien visitation here, the pretty aliens might come here, and those might be the bad guys. Talked about that before. So you never know. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. So if alien disclosure like that happens, I mean, it'd be fascinating if it did. It'd be like a mind screw for a lot of us. You're surprised there is no. I mean, you think like a Palladian group or a humanoid group would just, even if they were bad, they would just show up in some town and just start telling them from another world to everybody that they're nice and end up being the bad guys. And I think that would make the world, that would be different. It would go worldwide news, and maybe they're real, maybe they weren't, but either way, it's some kind of disclosure. You never know. Maybe it'll just be a movie of the week. I mean, it sounds like it could be. Yeah, well, we all create better places than this, unfortunately. So yeah, this is the guy. I was going to use this as a thumbnail, but of course, you have a story on this too, because they just made a documentary about it. Yeah, moment of contact. So, but yeah, I've seen this before, but I never really researched it. So I don't think I've ever researched. If I did, I don't remember. I don't think so. And that's another rendition of it. So yeah, that's their version of Roswell, and I'll probably do the Roswell connection tomorrow. Interesting. That might be a reenactment there. Yeah, it's a reenactment. Yeah, and there's footage of it. That's a creation. That's a creation. Cool. I'm not sure what that is. I don't think that's real. But yeah, there's too many eyewitnesses of it. There's too much. There's just too much of a lot of things there. That's cool. So yeah, I remember seeing that image. I just never bothered looking into it. I think there was another one. I think there was some sightings in Brazil in 1986. I think that was in the documentary. I didn't watch the whole documentary, but so that's be careful what you wish for. Not to say those people in Brazil were wishing for an alien to crash down, a bunch of creatures running around the neighborhood. But at least in Brazil, it was less censorship. So there, of course, Roswell, they're keeping that memory. There's a museum there. There's extraterrestrial highway, Area 51. So there's Alien Inn. So, we have our stuff there. So, that was the other thing, though. It does feel like, the U.S. is like NORAD and all. They're part of the secrecy of this. I believe it's worldwide. Like, Russia might have their own version of alien, whatever, but the U.S. is playing a big. Our shadow government is like the world police in that regard. That's what it feels like. We'll never really know. You can always speculate. It's probably best to just speculate. Probably best the less you know, the better. Once you want your arm zapped off, or somebody shows up or get energy attacked for whatever it might be. I know people want like this deep information. If you're getting really deep information, you might be going insane, locked up, or some kind of situation. You never know. So, some feel like it's for entertainment purposes, and it probably is to a certain level. It is knowledge is entertaining too. So there is a entertainment factor to it, because that's kind of cool. See, the aliens crash land in Brazil and run around and scare the hell out of everybody. That's pretty cool. Living it's a different story, especially when you're carrying one around. end up dying afterwards, depending on what kind of life you're living. If you're living a life you want to keep, that sucks. So, but yeah, the stuff is it's a wake up call. Yeah, I'm surprised there isn't any type of alien visitation here physically. I mean, why not, right? Obviously, there's like treaties and all that, but some just don't care and you see where I feel like. I mean, like I said, if we're going to have any alien disclosure, it'll probably be the bad guys, most likely. And they'll probably be the pretty people, most likely. Like a Palladian being to be most likely. They're going to, because we're built on looks and everything. You see the celebrities and all that. Even in the spiritual community, you see that. It's like the more attractive the people, the more attention you get. And so many are buying into that. So that's, we already see how it works here. So who knows? That'll happen eventually. We'll have some kind of, yeah, can't wait for that. Anyway, all right. Okay, we tap into the Brazilian Zetas, World War III timeline. We're just giving some consciousness connection to that. You can do, do your own version, whatever works for you. And the super Earth energy, tap into some of that. That's perspective many are going through. So, all right, blessings for you. Greetings with the Zetas from Brazil. Many aren't really ready to connect to themselves, as you know. Some of you are, but you are. Yes, the aliens can be very frightening, and you can say that's one of the reasons why this incident happened, to better prepare you for the future when alien life begins to, connect more to humanity. Not to say it will be. It's not all going to be pleasant. There's going to be pleasantness, but also fear, or I won't call it fear, but strange. They are aliens. They are bizarre. You have animal life here that's very strange as it is. The alien beings are not much different. So you're just getting glimpses of it. So it's basically another part of this is just to see how much you can handle. And this is 1996, so it kind of gives you time to digest all of this. But many of you are preparing for the next phase, and some are trying to focus on more of a positive connection, which can also be delusional also, because remember, you're connected to alien life. You're going to get all sorts of beings. So like the more open you are to all life instead of just a certain amount will probably make it easier for your connection. Won't drive yourself crazy. Because eventually the floodgates will open. Eventually. It's, that's why many of you are here in your awakening state, is to bring this, to prepare humanity on all the, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be loved by your information, your connections don't have to be popular. I mean, many of you that don't have a large follow or any following for that matter, it's like, you just say, I told you so. Sometimes yes, humanity can't handle the truth of it. It's just to, for humanity just to have a disclosure of just the attractive alien energies is kind of discrimination compared to what else is out there, because our beings are more powerful than the human. You say some of them are the reptilians, some of them are also the Zetas. The human, I mean, everyone's different. It's just that your disclosure most likely won't be just one species, but many. When the door is open, finally on your planet, you're always going to hear different versions. Some want to just connect to more of the higher frequencies because that's all they can handle. But some of you are to say it's going to be a bunch of creature beings. Some of you are just going to love every minute of it. You can't wait to get more of it. And others are going to be terrified of what's here. And those are awakened to all this. Some just want a certain type of being, like an alien being from Vogue magazine or something. It's just, there's a lot to. It's like going to a new world and being accepted by everybody. It just doesn't happen. Even with the universe, as some of you know, the universe is very diverse. And you see what this world's going through. The universe is going through actually much more chaotic energies, as some of you know. You're going through a human form of it, but and technically you have a reptilian version of it. But as some of you are remembering, the reptilian worlds are a lot more intense than this one. Not that you have to remember too deeply, but they don't hide anything. They show everything. They're not there hiding behind the shadows. You see an actual reptilian being. Some of them are very friendly, and others could care less about you. So you're seeing that in human form. So you can say through this human experience, you're getting a little pieces of how the universe works through a human perspective. As more humans begin to change more into alien form, like a feline versions and your reptilian versions, then things get really, then you go to the next level because your DNA can be shifted where humans look more reptilian. And you kind of see that already, especially those who are putting tattoos over their face. It's like, not to say all that people with tattoos are reptilian beings, but they show they are from another place. And that's a way of them describing themselves in some form, especially the tattoos on their face really gets your attention. So you are seeing alien form to a certain level. And yes, the transgender energy is just, some of those are archon beings, some of those are just lost beings. They just don't know. Now, yes, some are going through the transformation. Some of them are Arcturian, they're just used to changing their gender. It's not a big deal to them. It's just they are what they are, but others are just lost. And some of you can tell. So blessings. Gracie with the consciousness of World War III. There are many humans that don't want that to happen. It's most likely not going to happen in your timeline. There is enough firepower to do that, but there's enough influence here to prevent it. Well, your world evolved from it, not likely. It will go backwards. There can be a world war where as some of you know, your world will go back to primitive times, actually, where it can actually cause such a shockwave that your power grids won't work anymore. You'll have to start from scratch. Not to say that will happen, but some of you can probably see some of that. So yeah, it can wipe out a timeline. So that's why it's being prevented from you. You don't need that. Now you get remnants of a World War III to a certain level. You might get pieces of it, little ones here and there, like threats of it, warnings. Of course, that's the same thing. Just basically, you're seeing the consciousness of hit the red button. But there is a lot of prevention going on for obvious reasons. Because souls here, if that happens, you can get lost here forever. You just get lost into the tornado of the apocalypse. So, well, not that it's going to happen though. So there's like an angelic war, there's an angel war on so many different levels. So it's just basically many of you come here to stop that type of situation. You literally came here to freeze the earth from having the World War III energy occur. Not that you think about it often. Some of these star seeds here that are of a higher frequency that only think about the higher frequency, can only handle the higher frequencies, are preventing World War III to happen also. Of course, they're not dealing with their own darkness. That comes later. They just come here to prevent the world from destroying itself. Some of you are involved with the others to make that their mission. But yes, they can also spew their own propaganda here. So it's like, no, the world can't end yet. It needs to be manipulated by my vibration. So, and some of you are warning that. So, but World War III is a reset. So some are worried about this, keep putting fear into it. And that is up to you. That's up to the individual to release that. It's good to have some kind of peace, though, internally. But that's up to you on that. Greetings. We are the super Earth consciousness, basically connected to your Earth's higher self. Or some of you are, yes, connected to versions of Earth. Basically, this world reminds you of other planets, other versions of Earth. Not even necessarily other Earths, other planets in general, other exoplanets. And so, and even there's remnants of those other planets. Like there's a Brazil on the Earth that you come from. It's more positive, even more advanced, and a lot of level. You're seeing the old-fashioned version of everything. United States, you're seeing, of course, the United States has different names and other realities. But some of you, like China, you're seeing like the primitive version of all of these places. And many of you have connected to more higher frequency. Once again, they can have different names, but they have some similarities. So you remember this the super Earths, but also some of those super Earths are connected to giants, basically just 7-foot beings, 8-foot beings, and it doesn't mean like they're too tall, but they're pretty large energy fields. So the reason why it's coming through is some of you are actually connecting to those in parallel realities, even to go back to them, because remember the higher frequency lives that you lived, and some of you actually go back to those places. Like that's your version of paradise, as you can see. Yes, some do have a strange version of paradise. Like some of it is a barbecue cookout. Some of them is just eating vegetables all day. Some of them is just teaching students, kids, whoever it might be. Some in the lower dimension, some of their paradise is just being tortured by others. Something about they want to be loved by others. They don't have any love for themselves. That's what the lower dimensions are about. It's about souls that lost love for themselves, but then they have others devour them to basically also find a new identity. So basically, one way to reset is go from the higher dimensions to the lower dimension. Yeah, but that's up to you, because once you get pulled into the lower dimensions, all kinds of souls that want to take over your body, take over your talents, take over you in general. The higher dimensions, they don't have that. Of course, they have their own issues because they can become weak and they can become delusional and lost in their own world. So, yes, having that middle ground is good. Many of you have been lost in the lower dimensions for good reason, but then you found your way out of it. So, this world is a middle ground too. More knowledge about that would help. Could be less trickster beings here. And the fourth dimension is a great deal of trickster beings, but yes, you see them more clearly. But then again, you see them here also, like with politicians and celebrities. But it's all hidden, as you know. Like you see the truth, but then it's conspiracy theory. Other worlds are a little bit more open to their corruption. This one's open, but it also says, the bad guys always say that they're the good guys. And in other worlds, they don't always do that. There's reptilian worlds, they don't care if they see them as a good guy or bad guy. They're going to still suppress your world. They might see themselves as a good guy, but then you look at them, it's like, you're not the good guy, are you? You are the bad guy. But here on your world, obviously, many are here to heal that delusion of the positivity and have it more show its true self. Where positivity is no longer, because yes, the dark uses it all the time to hide their intentions here. And you're here to, you can say, rip that band-aid off so they can't hide anymore. Yes, rip the mask off so it can't continue on anymore. It's a hard one though, but that's what many of you are working towards. Yes, you realize how hard it is. Is it even worth it? Some of you feel like it's kind of, because most of humanity is lost in the abyss of the spell that's going on your planet. But at least you are not buying into the manipulation. Those individually are not. But there are many that are, because they're on autopilot themselves. See, the idea of those that are manipulating your reality. The idea is to get the trickster beings, to get people, the individual person, to put themselves on autopilot so they can be controlled. Just kind of oh, you trust me, and then they kind of stop trying, give up on themselves. They don't think they are. They're like a false idea of ascension, and you just will them into the reality that you create for them. Well, that's what your spiritual. It's all different levels. Business does it. It's on all levels, as many of you know. And the idea is to become aware of that. That's it.